What would you do if you had 10 years left to live? Would you think, oh sure, that's grand, that's loads of time? Or would you panic as you realize all the chances, all the experiences that you could experience in your lifetime ripped from your grasp? Now, this is only hypothetical, of course. There is no reason to panic, except there is. Because according to the United Nations report on climate change, if we do not address our current attitudes towards our planet, we will reach the point of no return in about 10 years' time. Welcome to my talk on why we're fighting climate change wrong and how we can fix this. So what does this point look like exactly? Well, after the point of no return, we will suffer through the severe destruction of our modern environment. The ice caps, the last threshold of pure, untouched wilderness, will be brutally raised, leading to rising waters on a biblical scale. Millions, if not billions, of people, families, children will be agonized from disasters like drought or famine. The horrors you see in a troker ad will be the average person's daily existence. Animals from whales to shrews will be butchered from the distraught ecosystem we killed. All that will be left is a fraction of the population surrounded by death, devastation, and despair. And we haven't even gotten to the worst part yet. The worst part is we won't be able to do anything about it. So now, some of you might be thinking, well, what can I do? Could I go vegan, get an electric car, maybe even use, God forbid, public transport more? Now, don't get me wrong, these are all great answers. It's just, there's something not quite right here. It's not the answers, it's the question. Why would we ask what we can do as individuals, while 71% of all CO2 emissions are produced by only 100 companies, such as Gazprom OAO, Pemex, ExxonMobil, China Coal, the National Iranian Oil Fund, Aramco, India Coal, or Shell, to name a few. Most of these are energy companies, and quick question, how many of these do you know? Do you not find it insane that only a few of these would be known by the average individual? Do you not find it more insane that our first thought in response to my original question was how it was the individual's fault? And do you not think it's crazy how we think a single person's choice to cut out red meats is going to change all this? How did the discussion about climate change come to us blaming ourselves while we only produce a fraction of the emissions? Well, one reason is that each of these companies is incredibly proficient in staying in the background. We know some of them, like Shell or Circle K, but we only know them because they're the ones we buy oil from, the ones we see ads from on the TV or hear on the radio almost every day. Yet, the ones that are by far the least known, such as Aramco or China Coal, are the ones that are by far the most dangerous. So, how come we don't know them? Well, when have you ever seen an ad made by them or bought oil directly from their stations? Since they are acutely aware of the value of their product, they have no need to market themselves to the individual, no need to make themselves known to anyone other than their biggest buyers, who will sell the oil off for them, keeping them in the background and keeping their filthy hands clean of blame. Another reason is this little organization called Keep America Beautiful. While more or less unknown to us here in Ireland, they are famous for their heartbreaking advertisements calling for the American public to become more proactive in the fight against littering. Their most famous ad, The Crying Native American, reached international stages after its release in the 70s. They are renowned for their work, calling for new laws and regulations, but not for the sake of the environment. Oh no. They do it for the companies funding them under the deceitful guise of saving the planet. This, in fact, has always been the goal of Keep America Beautiful. Shift the blame from those who are guilty to the individual. Coca-Cola, for example, used Keep America Beautiful to avoid getting any public backlash from replacing their glass bottles with plastic by advocating for a change in American regulations regarding the material. Their intense use of propaganda and deception has worked so effectively that phrases such as litterbug, which they coined, have become commonly used in our vernacular, and our opinions on fighting climate change as a whole has been shifted from blaming these corporations to blaming us, the individual. And frankly, that is disgraceful. So we know what's wrong with the fight against climate change. So what now? What do we do next? Well, this is where the right individual actions do matter. Take Keelings, for instance. An Irish fruit and veg brand, Keelings is a great example of how the individual can affect much larger, powerful groups. Last year, they trial ran a new package where instead of using their standard plastic punnets, they used cardboard, an eco-friendly alternative. Originally only a limited run, Keelings are hopefully going to make this a permanent product. And why? Thanks to the individual. They asked the Irish populace what they thought, and many wrote back, thanking them for the shift in produce containment. That's right, we did that. Now, just because Keelings made it easy for us to write to them, it doesn't mean we can't do the same for other companies, or even our own governments. Write, petition, protest, scream to the world that you're tired of their carelessness, tired of their actions, tired of their behavior, and maybe the world might just listen. It won't be easy, it won't be quick, and it should have been done decades ago. But now, more than ever, is the best time to start. Start the fight, the battle, the war against these companies committing the cold-blooded murder of our planet. Because it's time for an end. The end to our dependency on oil, the end to these companies' carelessness, the end to the complacency of our government. Because the timer started more than a century ago, and it's about to ring. Thank you.